Psalm 23. What a psalm. 6 verses. 6 verses that might have been memorized more by people in cultures all over the world than any other 6 verses. This is an amazingly short, amazingly fresh psalm. Have you listened to these words again recently? I mean, you might have memorized them in your childhood. You might have heard them at a funeral or even at a wedding. And yet, these words have been the crutch that so many people have leaned on when their own knees were knocking, the support that they needed when their own world was crumbling. Before their own words formed, many people have borrowed these words and said, I don't know how to say it, I don't know how to put it. My life is somehow a mystery. And yet David said it in such a way that I can grab that. There are handlebars on Psalm 23 that I can use to climb up and out of the miry pit. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. This psalm is short, and yet it's deep, perhaps like the streams that David led his sheep toward, that might have been narrow but deep. This is one of those, as narrow and deep. As the alternative is a mile wide and an inch deep, that nobody can get a drink of water out of. But some streams are deep and narrow and cold and refreshing and available, and this is one of those. Very simple outline that governs this psalm. He's going to pivot from he to you and I. And there's something where he's speaking about God and God's goodness, and yet he's going to become part of a conversation. You and I and you. And something else that is very interesting at the very center of this psalm, and it really does build to a climax, right in the middle. The phrase that cushions and interprets all the other phrases. You were with me. You were with me. David spent so much of his shepherding life alone, out in the sheepfold, going from one pasture to another. The shepherds didn't have a steady supply of hay. They had to go and find the grass, and so there was an amazing amount of travel for shepherds, and they knew the spots, and so he was alone a lot, and yet he was never alone. He was perhaps lonely, I could say, but never alone. For you are with me. That gives me a clue that those prepositions are very important in this psalm. And so you can look backward and you can see all kinds of prepositions. In green pastures, beside still waters, for his name's sake, through the valley of the shadow of death. And there, like we just said, the pivot point in the psalm, you are with me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me after me all the days of my life. And so all the different directional arrows of life, if that one piece in the center is present, then all the others are endurable. If the Lord is with us, that makes all the difference in the world. That makes all the difference in eternity. That makes all the difference in joy, in pain, in confusion, and in confidence. That makes all the difference in the world.